Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Big Bill coming to you live from Model Railroading Live, the number one model railroading show in the world. That's because I said so. But anyway, we're back. We're back from vacation. We're back from the summer. It is now September 14th, 2022, and we are now officially in September and modeling season. Hope you guys all out there had a great summer. I hope you did wonderful and big things. And with all the pandemic on the downslide, I hope you guys were able to go out, and enjoy your family vacations and do all the things that you wanted to do. Because we did here in New York. We were partying like it was 1999. Anyway, I'm glad to see that it is. We're back, and we got some changes going on Model Railroading Live, and we have some new friends that we've made, and we've been setting up a few guests coming up in the next couple of months. So even though we were off, we were kind of working towards it, projecting what was going to happen and stuff like that. Anyway, before I start, I want to I just want to say hello to everybody who's in here, and I'll do this Wig-Wag Workshop is here. Grandpa Rails is here. Robin Holloman. Hey, Robin, how are you? Boxcar Jerry's here. Boxcar Jerry did a live show from his workshop today. It was very good. Kyle Stevens is here. Ken Anderson. Eminem Rails is here. Dudust Junction Model Railroad. James is here. Dan's Model Railroading Journey is here. Hey, Tina Marie is here. Mojave Model Railroad. CV Railroad in HO scale. Let's see who else. Anybody? John Benekic is here. Ethan Amerage is here. Hey, Ethan. Let's see. Who else do we got? Anyway, that seems to be everybody out there, and welcome back. I hope all your vacation time, your summer months were filled with fun. Anyway, I was telling my wife the other day, I said, we're having a real serious discussion, and I said, hon, I think you should embrace your mistakes, because we were really into that conversation. So I said, you really should embrace your mistakes. So she gave me a hug. Bottom. All right. Kyle James is in the house. Hey, Wigwam. Also wanted to give a big shout out to two YouTubers. One guy, Keller Railroad. He's brand new. Keller Railroad. Keller Railroad on YouTube. He's got 105 subscribers. He's just starting out. So if you guys want, go over to his channel, check it out, and give him a thumbs up and maybe subscribe to him and stuff like that. It's Keller Railroad. It's Keller. And I also want to acknowledge Tony Marie, Mojave Model Railroad. She has her channel is back up and running. She's also doing sponsoring or working with a model railroad shop in Las Vegas. You guys should go over and check her channel out. If you're not subscribers, she just reached 1,000 subscribers recently, and she's pushing for 1 million. Let's see if we can get her there. Mojave Model Railroad, Tina Marie, and she's doing a really good job. She just did a video, released and dropped a video on her update on her model railroad, and it was pretty interesting, and it's just exciting to see that. And she also is working with a hobby shop that's just getting underway, and thank you. But she's really good. Her videos are really entertaining, and they're really interesting. And guys, go over there and check it out. If you're not a subscriber, go subscribe to her. As far as the other things that are happening in Model Railroading Live, MRL, unfortunately, Andy Crawford, his younger brother passed away recently, and I just would like, I personally want to give a moment of silence for Andy and his family. I know it was heartbreaking for Andy and his family, and our condolences go out to the Crawford family and to Andy. And we're sorry for what happened to your brother. And so we're kind of taking a step back for a couple of, for a little while on some content stuff, and hopefully we'll be back up and running soon. But you got to take care of priority, and family is priority, so and stuff like that. So anyway, back to what we're about to do. We got a new guest. I found this gentleman. This gentleman I found on Facebook, and I was looking at the photos, and I was like saying to myself, yes, Andy, it's hard, man. It's hard. I know. Greatly appreciate your support, and we're here for you. But anyway, so this guest we have tonight, this is maybe a little different, I think. It's not anything unusual. I saw him on Facebook, and I reached out to him, and he was like, why me? Why me? Why do you want me on this show? I mean, I'm just an armchair modeler, and just got modeling. But what attracted me to it was I saw his plans, and I said, man, those plans look familiar. I didn't know. And then I got him on the phone, and we started talking. And it turns out they were Bill Baranik's plans, the track plans. So this is, we'll let Chris talk. He's in the green room right now. And we haven't opened that room up all summer. And I think Ralph Renzetti was supposed to help clean it out, but his back got hurt. And he didn't get to it. So there was still some gasoline sushi pack in there. And I'm just hoping that our guest. Anyway, let me bring him out. Our guest tonight is Chris Link from Texas. Chris.
Just finishing up a little bit of that sushi. It reminds me of some of my trips to Japan. So a little bit spicy. Hope it wasn't, gonna give me the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Let me see if I can get. I'm gonna put Fort Worth 911 on here on speed dial in case something happens to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll. If you have to, you run. We understand.
Okay. All right.
Guys out there it's a good friend from Texas is Chris Link. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much, and I'm honored to be your first guest of the new season. And
yeah, 2022. Yeah, good. I saw you on Facebook, and I was like, I saw your plan, and I said, man, those plans look familiar. And then I went to a couple of pictures, and I saw the header on the bottom of it, and I was like, oh, this is a Bill Baranik plan. And then I saw the bench work, and I was like, oh, I got to get this guy on. And I reached out to you. And so tell us how you got involved in this wonderful world of model railroading.
Well, for the vast majority of my life, ever since I was a little kid, like most people, they probably got a train set as a kid, which is what happened with me. And then I got kind of serious while I was in high school. I went to Duncanville High School, which is a suburb of Dallas, but I didn't really have the space. And then went off to college, went off to the military career. And the only way I stayed active really in the hobby was by going to the newsstand and thumbing through Model Railroad or buying Model Railroader. And then after some time, and basically in the 2010s, I actually started subscribing to several magazines and started slowly buying stuff off YouTube. Still didn't have a layout, and in the part of Fort Worth that we live in, we did an expansion, and we added this room on that I'm sitting in. And from the get-go, my wife understood that this will be, we call it the man cave or the train room.
Okay.
That's its sole purpose, because ever since I was a little tyke, you see those basement empires in the magazines, and I've always wanted something like that. And so reached out to Bill. He was actually the second planner that I dealt with. I had a great experience with Bill because I knew that I did not have the experience to do an operations themed track plan. And I just liked what I saw on his website, and I contacted him and started the process. And this is what he ended up designing for me. And it's 3 levels. This is the main level. There's a staging level below that, and then the upper level, which is a branch line. And I am HO scale. I am modeling modern operations in and around the Fort Worth, Texas area with a couple, like I have a big boy, and I have a big blow turbine engine, just because, it's my railroad, and why not?
Why not?
But it is an operations themed railroad, and I really enjoyed the experience with Bill. And just I really relied on him and his expertise, and I probably took 99.9% of his recommendations just because he's an expert. He now does this for a living, and I figured I should listen to him. So
makes sense, right? Since it's And do you have a that you said it was an HO scale layout? Do you have a name for the layout, or is that
I don't have a name yet. I might just, so I am modeling basically Union Pacific is the primary class 1, some BNSF, and then the short line is called the Fort Worth and Western Railroad.
Okay.
So I might cobble something together, but I haven't done that yet.
Right. What was the idea? I mean, did you go into the planning of having a 3-deck layout, or was it something that it was you said, hey, I don't know what I want, but this is what I'm looking to do. How did that come about?
I knew that I wanted to be operations themed, and I wanted to basically get it, maximize as much space as I could. So one of the things that I told Bill, I'm like, let's put a helix in there. Let's make sure we have staging so the trains actually have somewhere to go and come from. And then I kind of gave him some parameters in and around Fort Worth that I wanted to model. Union Pacific has a large yard by downtown Fort Worth, and I really love just the locomotives themselves, especially the modern ones. And so I wanted a nice yard. I've always loved seeing a picture of railroads with a yard and just all those cars there, and then the engine facility. So I wanted something like that. And then to the north of Fort Worth, there's a major grain elevator complex in Saginaw, Texas, and I wanted to model something like that. Pretty close to where I live, there's a Crescent yard in Crescent, Texas, for the Fort Worth and Western. Wanted to model that, and they go over a very it's an elevated bridge over a pretty deep intermittent dry stream bed, and that's going to be my signature scene. I'm going to put a lot of effort into doing a nice rock cut with trees and grass and a little bit of water and stuff. That'll be on the upper deck. That'll be at the very top up there.
Okay.
And then there is there's a frac sand loading facility in Crescent, and as well as a trackside oil dealer. And I asked Bill to have those on the track plan. And then there's also more in the Dallas area. There's actually a cement plant that actually makes the dried powdered cement. And I had already had that Walthers kit, so I asked Bill to also put that on the layout. And that's main industries that he did.
Yeah. Late night model railroading has a question. He wants to know, did the thought of constructing 3 decks feel intimidating?
I will say yes, but no. And the reason why I say no is because of guys like you, Bill, and other YouTubers out there. And I pretty much have most of the Kalmbach books. You know, I rely on this book extensively, and Joe Fugate's site and the forums. I rely a lot on those. And while it can be intimidating, my philosophy is if I can observe someone else doing it, then I can gauge whether or not I can do it. And at the end of the day, I'm not building a grand piano, and, you know, so I can have a little bit of tolerance, you know, weaknesses there. So I just kind of dove into the deep end of the pool, and I look at it as if, you know, how do you eat an elephant? It's a big project, but you do it one bite at a time.
There you go.
I'm a meticulous planner from my time in the military, and so I just kind of planned it out. And the biggest thing was actually starting to build the bench work because of the price of lumber. I didn't want to waste a lot of money, so I did have I had almost a year-long break from Bill finishing the plan to me actually starting. And there was another YouTuber out there called the DCC guy, and he has a 3 or 4 part series on building a helix. And most helix videos that you see, they skip the support table. They just jump into, you know, calculating the radiuses and the elevations. Well, that's not the first thing you got to build. You got to build the support table. And the DCC guy, he started building that table, and so that was really the kickstart and the flash for me to really get started. And go ahead. No,
I'm just listening, but I wanted to ask a few guys that are like jumping in here. Robert Holloman, and I will be expressive when I say this. He goes, "Yes, another yard ops guy. I knew I couldn't be the only one."
Yeah.
And then Andy Crawford asks, have you operated on anyone else's layout to gain info towards your operation interests?
I have not. I have never operated on anyone's layout. I have read Model Railroader magazine probably every month since 2010. I'm a pretty active rail fan guy. And I just kind of knew some of the industries that I wanted to model around here. And I just, you know, kind of gave Bill some parameters and dove into the deep end of the pool, like I said. But I've never actually operated on someone's railroad.
Well, Ken Anderson wants to know, do you plan to begin bench work? Segue into...
Why, yes. There it is. That's the peninsula, and that is the helix table. And then what you see underneath it is James Adams has the ability to print your track plan on 1-to-1. And I thought, because of I've never built a model railroad before that was not on just a 1 4x8 sheet of plywood. And I believe in setting myself up for success. And so obviously, if I'm going to spend the money on a track plan, and Bill puts all this time into making sure that the switch goes right here on the road bed and sub road bed, you got to measure that stuff. To me, the quickest way to achieve those critical measurements was for me to contact James Adams and have him do the one-to-one printout, which is what you see there. And that is the staging yard. So.
And behind you is the plans that Bill Veronic
Yes.
had. So can we go? Can we go
Yep.
through that?
So this wall that you're looking at is actually this wall right here. Okay. And then that's the peninsula that we were looking at, but that's one level above the benchwork that I just showed you. And of course, this is where the helix is. So starting from the helix, we come out. I love intermodal. I love double stacks. And that was one of the things that I definitely wanted, was a nice intermodal yard. So it's a double track main line, continuous running on this level. And then we have the intermodal yard. Then we have the grain facility here in Saginaw, Texas. Then we come around the loop and we come to what I'm trying to replicate is Davidson Yard in downtown Fort Worth with the engine facility. Then we come around the loop and we come to the dry cement production facility. And we just come around and we just have a trackside oil dealer just as another industry to have, but we're still double track mainline. This is an auto rack unloading facility. And then we go into the helix, and going down obviously takes you to the staging level. And then going up takes you to the branch line, which is the Fort Worth and Western. And that's the signature scene at Mustang Creek Railroad Bridge. Then we come to the yard in Crescent, Texas. There's a pretty big rail served lumber yard in Crescent. And so we're going to model that on this side of the peninsula. Come around the peninsula, we come to the frac sand loading facility. And then we just have some storage tracks, and we come around to some oil storage tanks to replicate the trackside oil dealer down in Crescent. And then we have some additional, this is actually part of that trackside oil dealer. This would be like the office building and stuff. And then this is obviously stub ended. So
Pretty good. Dwight Northing Star says this bench work looks like a piece of furniture.
Well, thank you. I will say the best compliment I got was the main hobby store in Dallas, Texas is Discount Model Trains. And I was showing the gentleman there, and he said, wow, that looks really good, Chris. Who'd you hire to do your bench work? And I said, me, I'm doing it. And he's like, wow, that's really good. So I felt pretty good about that. But I will share with people that buying straight lumber has been my number one challenge. It is so difficult to get lumber that is not bowed or warped. And I primarily shop at Lowe's, some at Home Depot. And I will say that Lowe's has been really good about taking back anything that is twisted or bowed or anything. But I recently joined the NMRA, and I've made some connections over there. And one of the gentlemen recommended that I actually cut my 1x4 strips from plywood. And I contemplated that, but plywood at the time, 2 months ago, it was $98 a sheet. And I just really couldn't, justify that. And
Even the cheap plywood was.
Well, I was going to buy sanded. Just because I want to try to minimize any type of warping or separation, because I just don't want to have those kind of problems. And so I have, and that helix table that you guys saw, that is version 2. Version 1 is in a big scrap heap. And so, this isn't to say that everything's gone perfect, I've never done this before. And so I'll give everyone a lesson learned. It's just, hopefully people wouldn't make this mistake. For example, as I was cutting a 12-foot section of 1x4, say I needed three 3-foot sections, I just measured 3, 6, 9, 12. Well, the problem is the thickness of the blade takes out 1/16 of an inch. And so by the time you get to the last one, you don't have a 3-foot section. You start screwing and gluing all that stuff together, and then you start checking it with a square and a level. It ain't gonna be square. And you can see I'm bald. It was
a hair pulling moment.
It's a good learning lesson. And if you think about it, it's common sense. But I've never done anything like this before, so you don't know what you don't know.
Right. I understand completely. And a show of hands out there, how many guys have made mistakes similar to that?
Yeah.
Or a thumbs up on your thing. But I know I have. I know when I was starting to build the layout that, I forgot about the architectural dimension of the lumber.
Yeah.
Like
a 2x4 is not 2x4.
Right. Bill Baronic was saying, it has to be 11 inches apart. So I was measuring 11 inches, cutting, and then all of a sudden I noticed as I got down, I was like, how come I'm 12 and a half inches out?
Yeah.
And then my buddy my buddy Darren Brady came over and he was like, no, Bill, you got to figure in the half inch on the wood that you're attaching it to. And then, or otherwise, by the time you get all the way around, your layout will go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll tell you how true that is. When we utilized, measurement wise, when we utilized the walk-in closet, Darren was mostly helping me construct it. And he said that the wall on the inside of the closet was off by 1/8 of an inch. I said, well, what are our options? He said, our options are to take the wall out and rebuild it. I said, no, man, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to take the closet, take the studs down, and then reposition the studs.
An 1/8 of an inch is.
Well, we thought that's what we said at the time. But when we came to lay track,
yeah,
that 1/8 of an inch came into play.
I bet.
I had to figure out. It got like the track came around and literally ran into the wall. And I'm like, how can that be? But, it's. Kyle Stevens says, I guess I got module done before lumber was skyrocketing good. Wigwam Workshop says, no issues finding quality lumber around here. However, prices, that's another story. Dudas Junction Model Railroad, James says, my new layout, I'm using plywood, will cut the size. Andy Crawford says, I'm very much for stripping plywood down. For framing members, it's much more dimensionally stable, but one really needs to use a higher grade of plywood, mostly to get a variant that is gapless. Very true. Wigwam Workshop again says, I wish I didn't offer up my stash of Baltic birch to a friend right before the prices went up. Now it's impossible to get.
Yeah.
Ken Anderson says, our carpentry shop at the university bought honeycomb plywood. It's expensive and horrible quality material. And stuff. So so that's but the premise of you doing your layout, okay, and building, your framework and everything. Has that been the biggest challenge for you so far? Is the building of that? We haven't really got into the electricity or fire.
Yes, and so what I did is I went ahead and I bought Any Rail 6, which is what Bill designs his track plans in, and I got the files from him, and so I designed the bench work just as a separate layer on the track plan that he did with me, and so it starts out when you go down this area here. So this is basically open grid all the way over to where the peninsula starts. And I had originally planned on doing open grid for the peninsula. And because L girder kind of seemed intimidating to me, but I'm glad that I changed the peninsula to L girder because it's much simpler and you don't have to make a bunch of small squares, actually make them plumb and square. Because it's just that challenge with that dimensional lumber that's really for framing a house and trimming out a house when we're trying to build a model railroad.
Right.
But as far as the next steps, I've been researching how to do the wiring. I'm going to use Digitrax. I already have the Digitrax system. I'm going to have 2 boosters plus the command station, just because of the number of engines that I'm probably going to be running. And I'm going to use PSXX circuit breakers and the PSXX auto reverser. And I highly recommend. My only experience with them is buying them and then dealing through email with the guys at Tony's Trains, and they helped me plan where I need to cut the gaps for the reverse loop and stuff, because the interesting thing about my reverse loop is it immediately, I have like 5 switches like back to back to back going into the reverse loop, because that's where the staging tracks flow out of. And so it was, I've got plenty of articles and pictures on a simple reverse loop that comes in, goes like that.
Right.
But 1 switch and then a loop. Mine is literally 5 switches all going into my staging tracks. And so it was just confusing to me because I'd never done it. And they were very helpful at Tony's Trains to tell me where to cut gaps and stuff. And then the other thing I've done is I've collected several pictures from the internet of how guys set up what I kind of call the brain network, where I'm going to have the boosters, I'm going to have the circuit breakers, and because I want the wiring to look nice and professional. And so, I'm going to use terminal strips and suitcase connectors. I'm going to, the track bus will be a certain color. Wires going to my powered frogs are going to be a certain color. So I've spent years designing this thing in my mind and researching and taking notes. And I've created PowerPoint presentations for myself that kind of plan stuff out. So I think I know I can do it. Will it be correct the first time? Who knows, but that's it's a hobby. And so I try to remind myself of that, even though I am kind of a perfectionist. But I'm looking forward to the journey. And that's one of the things that I love about the hobby is, as a kid, I did model tanks and model planes. Well, that's plastic and paint, and then you set it on a shelf. This is carpentry. This is electronics. You get into JMRI. It's computering. I plan on doing a full signaled layout. So you got all that aspect of it. Plus you got the scenery. And then our models, they move. And the whole goal is, to kind of replicate as best as I can some real world train operations and kind of have fun with that. So I'm looking forward to the journey.
And about the mistakes, that's why they put erasers at the end of pencils, brother.
That's right. And that's how you learn. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing you got to remember, it's not brain surgery. Ain't nobody going to die over this thing. I mean, you may get a little frustrated, say a few curse words here and there, but walk out, grab a beer in the back and sit out in the yard and then go, well, what the hell is going on? Maybe I shouldn't have got this. I should take up.
Yes.
Human City Junction is in the house. Hey, Heath, welcome back. This is our show for you guys that are just tuning in on Who's Big Bill Talking To. We're back from our summer vacation. Tonight's guest is Chris Link, and he's out of Texas. And he's building his first model HO scale railroad, and the design was by track plan was designed by Bill Baronic. So catching you guys up that are coming in. What is it? Oh, Andy Crawford says, it's all expensive now. In my experience, once the price goes up, they go down some. They never fully return. After Katrina, and that wasn't during high inflation, that was just demand. Yes. I remember that because we couldn't get plywood in New York City for nothing after the hurricane down, Katrina, and stuff. Their mistakes are, John Benecki says, mistakes are why CAD programs have a delete button.
That's right.
That's good. That's good. So out of this journey that you're taking, who or what was a person or persons that influenced you, in getting the fire underneath that modeling chair lit so that you could get off it?
So one of them, I really liked Peli Soborg. I don't know if I'm saying his name right.
Yeah.
This is one of his books. I love how his stuff looks like a picture, like
right.
So he's an inspiration to me. There's a gentleman on YouTube that has the Union Pacific. He's a God. I'm gonna have to look it up now, but he's building. He used to be a prolific N scale guy, and he had the Union Pacific, and he's been in model railroad several times, and now he just transitioned to HO scale, and he is very motivating to me because the amount of progress he makes is just phenomenal. I can find it. His YouTube channel is the HO, the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston Sub. And
I know who he is.
Man, he's so motivating because that guy gets some work done. I don't know if he has a full-time job still or not, but it's amazing. And one of the things I learned from him is you don't have to take it too serious. Get it functional to where it works, and start trying to, run some trains. So that's kind of what I tell myself. And then, your YouTube channel has been an inspiration to me. A Modeler's Life's been an inspiration to me, and then just the other publications that I've watched, and the Model Railroad channel. That's, you have to pay the subscription. There's several project. Canadian Railroads was real helpful. That's a project railroad that Model Railroader did, because they did a helix, even though it was scale, and they put block detection on all the different levels. So that's real helpful. They used the tortoise switch machines, and so they talk you through those. So just pretty much, the evolution of our hobby with the internet has just been incredible for someone that has been an armchair modeler. So I'm 51, and vast majority of my life I've just been reading about this awesome hobby of ours. And you and the other guys like you and girls like you're the ones who, with these YouTube channels and these forums out there, that allow a guy like me to frankly get, and I'm not saying my bench work is all that, but it's going to work. And this is basically my first shot at it. I've never done this before, and I know this stuff is going to work. And it's because of guys like you that have allowed me to do this, and given me the confidence to start. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of us guys out here. Most of these guys that are on the Q&A are top-notch modelers themselves, and every endeavor that we attempt to do is just something that we love doing. It's not something, if we had to do it, I think for a living, I don't know if we would. I know I wouldn't, but anyway. But most of these guys out here, practically all of them are, top-notch modelers, and you don't have a YouTube channel at this time, do you?
No.
Okay.
I've got too many other hobbies.
Yeah, I hear you. John Benek says, getting ready to sell a house. If I can find the new one my wife and I can agree on, looking forward to building a new layout. Yes. Yeah, definitely. And it's such a challenge, but you get up to the challenge because, like I said, it's not brain surgery, and it's something you love doing. And you'll find that, I don't know if this has happened to you, but you'll finish working in the layout room, get washed up, get ready to go to bed because you got to get up in the morning to go to work.
Yep.
Then you'd be laying there thinking, and then all of a sudden an idea pops into your head, and you're like, oh, I got to write that down.
Yes.
Or I got to go downstairs and see, oh, God, can I do that on this? Can I make that change? And, my wife would, the bedrooms were side by side. She'd get up about 2:30 in the morning and see the light on with the door closed and peek in. And, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just finishing up. Yeah, but you said that 3 hours ago. I said, yeah, but I'm retired. I ain't going anywhere. I'll sleep in tomorrow. But,
so there's a gentleman on Facebook that I believe he lives in Pennsylvania. He's pretty prolific posting, and he has a saying, an hour a day. And that's kind of been motivated.
Yes.
Just try to spend an hour a day.
That's it. Yeah, that's very true. An hour a day. And you see another guy like that too, Eric Hall, an hour a day. And he sets a timer on his phone and does an hour a day.
And then, Bill, the track planner himself, he's been a great resource. He sent me pictures of his layout. And this is the beginning of the framing for his peninsula. And so This is what I'm replicating. That's going to go essentially down the middle of the El Girder Peninsula there. And so
on the peninsula, are you going to have a view block down the middle?
Yes. So I've actually started some. I will try to show it to you guys. You can kind of see some of them right there. See them right there?
Oh, yeah.
And you can also see probably the quality of lumber there.
That third one is sticking.
There's one that's really out of place, and that's this one right here.
Yeah.
It's just bowed. So I'm gonna have to unscrew that one and redo it. But Bill himself has been a great resource answering questions and giving me pictures of his stuff.
Well, Frank DeLauro's in the house. This is my buddy Frank DeLauro. We worked together in the transit.
Oh, okay.
He's retired. He just turned 60 the other day, his birthday. So he's a 60-year-old.
He's a spring chicken.
Yeah, you can get the discount at Dunkin' Donuts now.
There you go.
The senior citizen. He wants to know, where does the rest of your family live? Are everybody from Texas?
So my family, my wife and my 3 kids, we all live here in the Fort Worth area. But as far as the family I grew up in, I'm the youngest of 6, originally from up by Chicago. So I like the Chicago sports teams, the Cubs and the Bears. And then we came down to Texas when I was freshman in high school. So I've been here since the 80s and, went off to the military, came back, and this is where we've settled. And but I consider myself a Texan. So.
Okay. Hey, that's cool. That's good. And in your NMRA thing, in your meeting, have you been invited to anybody's layout or?
No, not yet. I've been to 2 meetings in person, and I have nothing but good things to say. I encourage everyone that if you have a NMRA chapter by you, I would encourage you to join. And it's an organization that I think you get out of it what you put into it. If you are willing to engage with people, I found them all very professional, very nice. I had 3 or 4 gentlemen exchange contact information with me at the first meeting. And the other thing is even if you don't have a chapter right by you, a lot of it is virtual right now with what the president Gordy has done with the NMRA X. And like I'm in the cow catcher division, and they broadcast live on YouTube every meeting. And so this last one, I have 2 kids in soccer, so I couldn't be in person. So I was watching the soccer game as I was attending the NMRA meeting. And
right.
It's been helpful. Really good.
Right. And do you did you, Late Night Model Railroad wants to know, did you rail fan the commuters in Chicago as a kid?
No. I didn't know very much about trains. I was actually from Waukegan, Illinois, which is north of Chicago. I just I didn't live by any of commuters or passenger rail or anything. In Texas, our very first house was right by a Union Pacific main line. And so that's really where I said, man, look at those cool locomotives. start taking pictures of those. And then last year, the big boy came to Fort Worth, Texas. I was very excited about that. And I got to go and see the big boy. That's just an iconic locomotive.
Yeah, it was impressive, wasn't it?
Yes. And then I get my rail fanning fix on my way home from work. I go a certain way. It's a little bit out of the way that takes me by the Union Pacific main line. And then also I joined the Virtual Rail Fan YouTube channel.
Yes. I have that too as well.
I love, like Tower 55 is an iconic spot here that has a camera on 24/7. And it's just cool to see those. I just really like it.
Ralph Renzetti's in the house, aka the Mudfather. Chris, in the future, this is a gentleman you should get to know very, very well. He's our resident in MRL. He's our resident weatherer. He weathers once he gets finished weathering, it's like the real deal.
Yes.
You got to see his engines, his diesel engines. So I'll exchange information with him. With you later. I'll send it to you if you want to send them up to him.
Yeah.
He'd be more than happy, to look at it, and talk to him. He's a very knowledgeable man and stuff like that. So he's good guy to. I got a couple of my engines weathered in a couple of box cars, and he's always ready with a tip.
Yeah.
He's not that guy that throws the blanket around him and he hides stuff. He wants to share it and he wants you to know it. And he wants to share the experience. So Ralph Renzetti, aka the Mudfather.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And had another question that I had on the tip of my mind. This is what happens when you get old. Late Night Model Railroading says, I do the same thing going to get my kids from daycare. I leave early to be able to catch the trains on a nearby main line before picking up my daughter, and stuff like that. I need to head out. Thanks for the show, Bill. No problem, Heath. You be well, be safe, and be blessed. Everybody check out Human City Junction. You should check out Human City Junction. He's a New Yorker up on Manhattan, and he's got a great little layout thing going on in his room, and he's very, very knowledgeable on electronics and stuff.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, so be well, Heath. Take care. And so getting back to your layout, how is the family? Do they like it or,
So I've gotten a little bit of help from my kids. So my oldest is a junior in high school. Then I have a 7th grader and then I have a 3rd grader. And I've gotten the 7th grader and 3rd grader to kind of hold lumber every now and then as I cut it. But they really liked running the trains when I had the oval on the 4x8 sheet of plywood. And so I know that they're going to really enjoy that aspect. But right now, the only thing they really get to do is maybe run a screw in a screw and maybe run a bead of glue every now and then. It's more work to them right now than actually fun. So,
well, Ralph Renzetti says that you guys have already met.
Yes, we. So I joined A Modeler's Life Patreon channel, and so Ralph was one of the gentlemen during the Wednesday night fan channel or fan call, I guess. I was able to meet him and several other people. So it's been a great experience. I've actually really been shocked at just how nice everyone is in the community. I don't know why I was shocked. I don't know, because I don't have any friends that are in the hobby. It's just been myself. And as soon as I joined the NMRA, as soon as I joined the Modeler's Life Patreon channel, as soon as I posted on Facebook, people just contacted me and said, hey, that's really a good job you're doing. here's some contact information, here's some tips. And it's really been, it's just, they call it the world's greatest hobby. And that's because of the people. And I think that has proven true from my experience.
I'm going to say I agree with you. You're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
Not that, when you go out, if you ever get a chance to come north in January, at the end of January, they have the Springfield in Massachusetts, the big train meet up there where they have literally, they have 5 mini arenas, and it's just chock full of the dealers and trade show, and they have clinics, and you get to meet everybody who you see on YouTube. They walk by and you go, hey, I know you. You're on YouTube and stuff, and you get to meet them, and generally just as nice and just as personable as they are on their channel. You can't find a better hobby. Ken Anderson says that. We have Balu from Australia on, so good morning to you, or good morning. Well, we know the world's not ending because it's already tomorrow in Australia.
That's right.
So there we go. We're good to go. How are you doing, Balu? Everything is well down there? I think he's got an N scale. He's a scoutmaster for Cub Scouts down there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I would tell you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Dwight at Northern Star says the Train Fest in Milwaukee will be soon too. And what did you say to me last night? You were asking if I was coming to Dallas because they're going to have the
because the NMRA convention is in Dallas Fort Worth next year. And
next year,
I'm going to volunteer to help out, and I've expressed interest in trying to get my master model railroader. I figure I'm building a layout. Some of the things I'm going to do will apply towards those certificates. So why not? And so I'm going to volunteer to kind of help out for at least a day. Yeah.
Very good. That's great. That is great. Well, so I asked you about your family and everything. What about, you said we were talking last night.
Yeah. So my wife had a get together. And I had to, it's mandatory fun for me. It was her party, but I had to be her arm candy at the party. So we had all these people over, and I just said, "Hey, who would like to go upstairs and see the layout room? The man cave." And they're like, "What's the man cave?" "Oh, come on up." And it was basically the state that you see it now, and everyone, almost, especially the guys that came in. These are all grown men with families. They were like, wow, look at that. That's the coolest thing, man. And actually one of them has been an armchair modeler like his whole life. And he was the last one to leave the layout room. He really wanted to hang out. Even the wives were like, wow, that's pretty cool. So
yeah, but that's how you spark that interest.
That's right.
You get that one guy. You might have 15 people up there, but that one guy saw it. One guy heard it.
That's right.
You'll see. You'll knock on your door one Saturday and
say,
"Hey, Chris, are you working on the layout? You think I could give you a hand?"
Yeah.
And you'll see. Ralph Franzetti says you should get in touch with Speed Muller. He'll get you going with the volunteering at the convention. Speed is
so I have reached out to Speed on Facebook, but I guess he doesn't know me, and so he denied my friend request. So maybe I need one of you guys to contact him and say, "Hey, accept Chris Link's friend request," because he lives in the Dallas area. He's probably about 45 minutes to an hour away from me. Because I heard he's an expert at wiring. So.
Yes. Well, Ralph, you gotta do the magic here. You gotta get him hooked up.
Yeah.
He said, mention my name.
Okay. All right.
I know Ralph Franzetti. Mention my name too. You probably get tomatoes thrown at you, but he knows me. So say Bill Graham and Ralph Franzetti, or Ralph Franzetti and Bill Graham mention.
And then there's another gentleman that's been on the AML quite a bit, Chris Atkins. He lives in Argyle, Texas, as Lionel says, the home of the Fighting Sox. And I reached out to him on Facebook, and he was very kind. He accepted my friend request and chatted with him when he was at the NMRA convention. We just haven't been able to link up. My daughter just is waving at me, so
Oh, babe, say hello.
she's all excited that I'm on YouTube. So
Okay. Well, hello to the Link family.
yeah.
Your dad's doing a great job, and you guys help out with them. So it's really good. But if you mention Balu says if you mention Rout's name, you might get banned for life. That's not true. So when it comes to rolling stock, how many? Now you're primarily a diesel engine kind of a guy. How many of these diesel engines have you acquired?
So I have about 19 scale trains, and I probably have 4 more on pre-order, especially the AC 4400s that just came out. And then I have about 50, I think it's 15 Athearn. I really like the Union Pacific Heritage fleets. And then for rolling stock, I have quite a few Automaxes, quite a few well cars, for the intermodal. I've got some spine cars. I have some basically what I'm going to call a unit co-train on pre-order through Spring Creek Hobbies, and of course tank cars, box cars, and stuff. One of the things as I've gone on this journey is I'm trying to buy things that fit my era. And that's actually, when I go to these hobby stores and I see, the discount model trains in Addison, Texas, they have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cars there. And you literally have to take a reference with you if you're, going to try to run operations and have the correct era cars and stuff.
Right.
So that's still kind of one of the things that I'm learning about. But
yeah,
I've got a little bit of the rolling stock. I have to stop myself from buying more engines and rolling stock right now, because what I really need to be buying is I need to be buying wire and track and switches. That's what I need to buy right now. So
yeah, start going to those.
But the problem is if you find something that you want and it's a hot item, if you don't buy it then and you wait till it's on eBay, you're going to pay $50 premium, if not more. And so the manufacturers, they have these limited runs for a reason, because they want to generate that demand. And so,
yeah, you're right. Then you got to start going to trains anonymous. Hi, my name is Bill. And
you snooze, you lose. One of my favorite paint schemes, I'll just show you, is even though I love Union Pacific, I really like the war bonnets, especially the faded ones. And I'd say the Dash 9 is probably my favorite diesel locomotive. I just love that deep rumble.
Deep rumble, yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you. Late Mike Model Railroad, he says, did the track planner Bill Baranek help with figuring out any of your train schedules to run on the layout? I saw he has done that with some customers and produced some nice diagrams for planning the runs.
I have not spoken to Bill about that. And actually, the first place that I learned about that was on your YouTube channel. I saw that one of the gentlemen you spoke to showed a 1-page schematic with his operations plan. So I hope to talk to Bill about doing that.
Ken Anderson wants to know what type of track, store-bought turnouts, fast track jigs, inquiring minds want to know. So
I do have some. It's primarily Pico turnouts, but I do have several. Almost the majority of my curved turnouts are fast tracks, and so this is my first fast tracks curved turnout that I've made. And again, I just did my research. I watched videos. I ordered the items from Fast Track's website with the jigs, and I just went slow and rewatched that video over and over and over. And this is what I made. I'm pretty proud of it. I probably got 15 more to do.
Very nice.
And again, most people are like, oh, let me do a Fast Track straight turnout. This is my very first one. I don't have any fast track straight turnouts. All those are Pico.
You just jumped right into the deep end
I
of
did.
that.
I did. Yeah. And so I'm going to be using plywood for the sub road bed, and then, or I'm sorry, for the road bed, sub road bed will be the cork, and it's code 83 Pico, and then Electro Frog or the new Unifrog with for the Pico switches.
Yeah, that's what I use. I like using them.
Yeah.
Pico just came out with a new unified track where you can, mix the code 55 with the code 83 for the yard.
Yeah.
A transition piece that goes right between them both. One end is code 83, the other one transitions to the other code. So that's interesting.
I'll show you something else that I've done. So I've actually done one DCC install myself also. And again, remember, I've never done anything before. So this is an Intermountain SD40-2 in the scheme of the Fort Worth and Western. And so it just had, I don't even remember what it had. It might have had I don't know what it came with, but I used the Decoder Buddies from Nick's Trains, and then I put a Loke Sound V5 in there with the SD40-2 sounds, and I also put the soundtracks. Was it the Power Pack or what's it called? Current Keeper in it? And no, I'm sorry, that one is a Tsunami 2. It's not a ESU Loke Sound. It's a Tsunami 2 with the Current Keeper from Tsunami.
Ralph Francetti says, good job for you. Good for you, Chris, and well done. He also goes to say, you will slowly convert all turnouts to fast track, almost guaranteed. And then, let's see. Oh, he says about your engine, it's too clean. It's too clean. It's too clean.
Yeah, no, he's right.
And Robert Holloman says, I did a curved yard ladder in one piece, all with the Fast Tracks fixture. That was fun.
Good.
Dundas Junction Model Railroad, James says, I'm not too pleased with the Unifrog turnout.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Robert Holman says, I'll never buy commercial made turnouts again. Fast Tracks or nothing.
Wow. Okay.
So there you go. We're getting
I was apprehensive about the Fast Tracks when I told Bill that, okay, let's go ahead and do it, because what the curved turnouts that I'm using allow me to do is basically have put the turnouts further back so that I can get longer runs of sliding or whatever. So I have quite a few, especially on the staging level. And originally I was going to just pay someone to do them, but as I kept researching it, and like Ralph said and the other gentleman said, I literally found no one that had anything bad to say. And a lot of people have said what Ralph and the other gentleman said, which is, you probably want all your turnouts to be that way. So I said, well, if these guys can do it, I think I can do it. And I just, like I said, researched it, ordered it, and did it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tried and true method. The other thing is when you finally get this, up and built and you have it laid with track, I'm sure Bill Baronic has told you this. You want to make sure your track is bulletproof. So run it on the plywood prairie for about 6 months.
Yeah, he told me a year.
Okay, a year. Yeah. He told me that too.
Don't do any scenery.
I didn't pay attention to that, which was my biggest mistake, because I
really?
Oh yeah, I wound up going back, taking it out, putting it down, but finally got it to where I where it had to be. But I should have listened to him, but I wanted to get it up and running. Ken Anderson says, I brag on Pico all the time, but 90% of my dual gauge turnouts are scratch built and in place. Andy Crawford says, fast tracks are unbeatable mechanically, but they need some help cosmetically. But that's doable. Ralph Renzetti says, code 18370 or 55. He wants to know, I guess, what you're using? Code 83, right?
Yeah, code 83. Yep.
Right,
Yep.
right. Code 83. So, that's pretty good. So now, here you are, a guy that read magazines, sat on a chair, and said, someday, somehow, some way, we're going to do this. And then lo and behold, look at this. Look how far you've come.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And guys, I want you to know, when I reached out to Mr. Link here, and we finally hooked up on telephone, his first question to me was, why me? I'm an armchair modeler here. Why would you want me on your show? I've seen your show. You got great modelers on. I said, you're a great modeler. He was like, I don't know about
that.
But look at this. Look where he's come. Look where he's come.
I'm just a guy willing to try. Basically.
Hey, and that's all we're doing out here. None of us. Yeah. Listen, the first time I met Mike Phillips, and Miles Hale, two extraordinary modelers. I was like, I can't believe I'm actually talking to these guys. I can't believe they're actually talking to me. I grew up with Miles Hale. I got all his DVDs. And you know what Miles Hale said to me? He said, Bill, I put my pants on one leg at a time, just like you. And I tell you, Mike and Mike Phillips the same way. I'm nothing special. I'm not all that and that. I'm just a guy that likes to model, and I want other people to model. And that's how it is with this, and that's how what's great about this. Ralph Renzetti, Robert Holman, Andy Crawford. These guys, they're the salt of the earth. You can talk to them. They don't look down. They don't, they don't come across as, I know more than you and stuff like that. And, you can talk to them and you can run ideas by them. Yeah. And, and they'll give you feedback. And if they don't know, they'll find out and they'll get back to you, eventually. Yeah. So it's a wealth. Everybody out there. Robert Holman says, here's the Facebook page for my layout. You can see all the turnouts I've done in Fast Track and other things I've done on my layout. Feel free to send me a message if you have any questions.
I will definitely do that.
Yeah, Facebook.com PCRRTS.
Great.
You can look back on this when it comes back out and copy.
Yeah, I will. So where I'm at right now is I need to finish the peninsula with the standalone 2x4s going down the peninsula. Then all of my girders there, well, not the girders, but the joists that sit on top of the girders, I need to measure where I need to drill the holes for the wiring. And then I'll take those to the garage, drill those holes. And then I'll actually affix them to the L girders. And then I'm going to make sure everything is as level as I can get it. And I have a laser level that I'll use there. I got this one. So, and then I will basically make sure that I have enough supports on the legs. And then I'm going to screw all of the open frame bench work and L girders, attach them all together. And then I'll start laying plywood and start laying track. And then jump on the helix. That's my next journey. And of course, I'm gonna get the staging level completely operational. So I'll have the DCC system set up, the wiring set up, the tortoise switch machines, all that type stuff. That's the next phase.
Yeah, and Robert,
level 2.
That. Robert Holman says you can also check out the Railroad Empire series on our channel, Model Railroading Live, and to see what we've done live and in pre-recorded shows. That's pretty interesting, the Railroad Empire show.
Okay.
They cover stuff, Let's see. Dave at BSFN N Scale says, crazy thing. I use tungsten putty between frame and car body on N-red caboose center beam flats. Now they are weebles. They won't lay on their side, stand right back up on their wheels. Okay. I think, let's see. Andy Crawford says, I think I would either use 1x4s in an L arrangement or steel studs for the uprights. They say they are more likely to stay plumb.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, I'm going off of what Bill, the track planner. So that's
that's
what I'm doing. So
the other plus thing is look at all the tools you're
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I actually bought the Craftsman jointer, which a jointer basically makes the lumber that the side that you put through it perfectly flat.
Right.
And so that was a little bit of coin, as you can imagine, but I all these feet that are just cut 2x4s right there, all of those I run through that jointer so that I have a perfectly flat surface. Because I want to just set myself up for success.
Yeah, I got you. I have so many tools that when I live in an apartment for a family, and when the landlord sends around the guy, the handyman, he always knocks on my door. Yeah, he does. And he says, do you have this tool? I said, yeah, I do. And he goes, can I use it for a minute? I said, yeah, go ahead.
You know, what I would recommend to people is if you have a Harbor Freight around you.
Oh, yeah.
The Hercules brand for a weekend warriors like us, this stuff, you can't go wrong with it. I have their chop saw, I have their table saw, and I have this drill. And then I have a couple of old Craftsman electric drills. You know, The other recommendation I would have is if you can afford it, have at least 2 drills, because I have one set up for with the screw, the Phillips head bit, and then I'll have another one set up to do my pilot holes and stuff. It just saves time.
My Robert Holman says, Ryobi for the win.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And stuff like that. Yes, Andy Crawford says, yes, sir. What you're doing is working, and it's tried and true. Late night model railroad. My rolling layout has wood that was all joined and planed. Made a ton of sawdust.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. It's right. And stuff. But hey, Chris, thank you so much for being on our first show back in 2022. And we're definitely going to check back with you. And we'll stay in touch with you and see how deep you're getting and how far you're getting and do a revamp, a revisit on your show to see how far you've come along. And thanks so much. And thank your family for lending us to us for a little bit. And we're sorry that you came right in from work and didn't get dinner, but
that's all right. I am an Army Ranger, so food's a crutch. That's what we say. So
okay.
But I do want to thank you for the opportunity and for thinking of me. And I'm just humbled that you invited me. And I still, even to myself, kind of think I'm not really sure why Bill's talking to me, other than I'm just an average guy who jumped in the deep end and said I can give it a try. So
well, I think your check cleared. I'm checking. Yeah, the check cleared. So
I might need that back if the shrimp.
Well, I don't know about that, but no, it's been our pleasure and our honor to have you on, and we're definitely going to stay in touch. And I'm going to friend you on Facebook, and and stuff like that. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you
for being on, and say hello to the kids and the wife.
I will.
All right. So there we are. We're back for the new 2022 season. Great start, Chris. Dave from BNSF and Scale says, great start. That's good. So we're back for the 20. I had some notes here I wanted to show you. For you guys that are sticking around, please do. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Mojave Model Railroad, Tina Marie. She's doing her. Recently got 1,000 subscribers, and she's working with this new hobby shop out in Las Vegas. So you guys should go check her out and her new channel and her channel. She's, like I said, she just reached 1,000 subscribers. Also, I saw this guy today on YouTube. His name is his YouTube channel is called Keller, Keller Railroad. He's just starting out in the hobby, and he's building his new layout, and he has 105 subscribers. So give him a look, give him a shout out, give him see what you're doing. And we're gonna be back soon. We got a couple of guests in the wings. We sent out emails to, and just waiting for them to come back and reply to us, and to get them on the show. So we're gonna try to keep it interesting, diverse, and keep you guys out there. So for us here at MRL, I want to thank you all for tuning in to a new season here of Model Railroading Live. Who's Big Bill talking to? And like I always say, you be well, you be safe, but most of all, you be blessed. And we'll see you on the radio.